So the iPhone 11 Pro, released in September of 2019, now that it's more than a year old and the iPhone 12s are out, should you buy this phone in 2021? Hell yeah. My answer is yes, you should, and here's why. So in my opinion, the iPhone 11 Pro has a really nice design. It actually looks really good. I really like it. The design is not too different than the older iPhones, but this is my favorite one, especially because of the matte finish on the back. I think the glass on the back looks and feels very good, and I'm a fan of this space gray color, but I don't think it really matters since you'll probably be using a case like most people. But if you're not, I really think you should. I'll link some good ones in the description. Okay, so the screen on the iPhone 11 Pro is very good. It's a 5.8-inch screen, which is exactly 0.3 inches smaller than the iPhone 12 Pro screen. However, it's just as good. Apple calls this the Super Retina XDR OLED screen technology, which means it's an OLED screen. So you get those deep blacks, really nice colors, and great viewing angles, which is to be expected from an OLED screen. This is also a major upgrade over the iPhone XR and the iPhone 11 screen because they use LCD screens, and as we know, OLED is way better than LCD. The screen on this phone also gets very bright and very dark. You shouldn't have any problems using this phone outdoors or at night in a dark room. In my opinion, if you don't have huge hands, you can comfortably type on it and get pretty much everything done very easily. And just about everything, including movies, photos, videos, look really good on this phone, and especially games, primarily because of the processor in this phone. The iPhone 11 Pro is running Apple's A13 Bionic processor with 4 gigs of RAM. The real performance of this phone will be noticeable while playing graphically intensive games, or maybe while editing or exporting a video on this phone. And everyday tasks like calling, texting, emails, browsing, watching YouTube, and things like that are a piece of cake for this phone. In the past, I've made a speed test video comparing the iPhone 11, which has the same specs as this phone, to the iPhone XS Max. So if you want to check that out, I'll have a link in the description. So yeah, this phone packs a lot of power, and I can't think of an app or a game that this phone can't run because of having less processing power. And I'm sure this phone will continue to get software updates for at least 3 to 4 years. So you don't really need to worry about any optimization issues anytime soon. Now, the iPhone 11 Pro is slightly thicker than the iPhone XS, and the battery is the reason why. This phone has a 3046 mAh battery. Apple claims that this phone will last 4 more hours than the iPhone XS, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max will last 5 more hours than the iPhone XS Max. This phone has a much bigger battery compared to the iPhone XS, which had a 2658 mAh battery. In my opinion, this is a huge upgrade because iPhones normally don't get battery upgrades like this one. In fact, the iPhone 12 Pro has a smaller battery compared to the iPhone 11 Pro. But how's the battery now? That's the real question. And my answer is surprisingly very good. Even now, more than a year later, this phone performs very good when it comes to battery life. With 89% battery health, this phone is averaging close to 9 hours of screen on time. Like, do you even get that? With 89% battery health, and without using low power mode. This is insane. You could probably get 10 hours of screen on time if you use low power mode. In my opinion, this is too good. Out of all the phones I've tried so far, this is the only one I can comfortably recommend to you, even if you play a lot of games or just watch YouTube videos, like me. In my opinion, the iPhone 11 Pro will be great if you were looking for a phone with really good battery life. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it's good that this phone has great battery life because it also has great cameras. You'll probably end up using them more than you think you will because they're just good. So this phone has 4 cameras, 1 on the front and 3 on the back. On the back, all the cameras have a 12 megapixel sensor. There's a wide-angle camera, an ultra-wide-angle camera, and a 2x telephoto camera. In my opinion, photos and videos from this phone look really nice. You can shoot up to 4K at 60 frames per second and 1080p at 240 frames per second. In fact, I purposely filmed some of the clips you saw in this video using an iPhone XS, and I bet you didn't even notice. If you did, I know you're a camera person. If you want to know which clips were filmed using the iPhone XS, you can rewatch the video and look for this dot in the top left corner of the screen. If you see the dot, it means the clip was filmed using the iPhone XS. And guess what? The iPhone 11 Pro is even better, at least in theory. Okay, so what about the 12 megapixel front-facing camera? Well, it's also really good. If you want to take selfies, it's great. If you want to take slow-fies, slow motion selfies, you can't go wrong with any of the iPhone 11s. So to summarize, in my opinion, the cameras on the iPhone 11 Pro get an A+. Now, here are some of the smaller things you might want to know before you buy this phone. So this phone has wireless charging. I guess that's cool. The speakers on this phone sound really nice. They are stereo speakers, which I really like, but I still think the Galaxy S20 has better sounding speakers. If you didn't watch my S20 video, go watch that and you'll know what I'm talking about. Face ID works very well. It works exactly the way I expect it to work. It even works in the dark, in case you didn't know that. Unfortunately, this phone doesn't have 3D Touch, but it's been replaced with Haptic Touch. It also doesn't have a LiDAR sensor, and I couldn't care less. But I think it's important for me to mention that I haven't used a LiDAR sensor before. The iPhone 11 Pro is also IP6A water resistant, and last but not least, this phone supports fast wired charging, and I believe it's up to 18 watts. So yeah, I think this phone is totally worth buying in 2021 because of all the things I just told you. It does most things very well and there is very little to complain about, at least in my opinion. I think this iPhone is the iPhone most people will keep for a long time, like 2 to 3 years, unless Apple comes out with something crazy good. Alright, so that's it for me. If you're still watching, thank you. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please like it and subscribe. That's all. I'll see you in my next video. Later.